Welcome back to Wine Time Mysteries, where true crime meets the unexplained. I'm Joey, and I'll be your host for today's episode, joined by the buxom Ashley Rose. And today, we'll explore a story that begins in an affluent Massachusetts neighborhood, but unravels into a chilling tale of betrayal, deceit, and the lengths that one man would allegedly go to cover his tracks. This is the case of Brian Walshe, a man whose polished exterior masked a dark and sinister reality. If you love stories that challenge reality and sanity, subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us bring you more dark stories from the realms of true crime and the paranormal. For access to our links, go to linktree/winetimemysteries. Let's set the stage. It's January 1st of 2023. Recent.
Ooh.
I know. Suck my butt. It's Cohasset. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. People listening from America, you're probably going to have more time on your hands because TikTok's been banned. Perhaps you could listen to this one and let me know if that's the correct pronunciation. Cohasset, Massachusetts.
Oh, I didn't think that was a place. I just thought it was a word you were using. I was like,
Yeah,
sounds right.
I made it up. I just went, what letters, what vowels and consonants can I put together today to make up a noise? And it sounded like Cohasset.
Yeah, it sounds like a place in Massachusetts.
Yeah. For many, the first day of the year is filled with hope and resolutions.
And gym days.
Hope and resolutions.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. Which I've noticed recently at my gym too. It has been packed out since Jan.
Yeah.
It's hard to find any equipment and I'm getting frustrated about it.
You just need the ones that aren't going to commit to weasel on out.
You're going to be done by Feb. Can you go now? Like...
You're not going to follow through. Just pack up now.
I'm all for people like deciding to better themselves, and if that's what they want to do, and they want to get fit and they want to lose weight, I support that entirely. Say it with your chest. Don't just last a month and then go away somewhere. Anyway, we haven't even started today's case. So, for many, the first day of the year is filled with hope and resolutions, but for Anna Walshe, who was a successful mother of 3 and a real estate executive, it was the day that she would vanish without a trace.
Oh.
Dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Du, 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 du.
Ba-bum.
Boom, du, 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 du.
That's messed up. January, no.
Yeah. New beginnings, not new endings.
That's good.
No, it's not good. It's not good at all. Her husband, Brian Walshe.
Done it. Cut that, but I'm just saying, in my head, did it.
No, but also normally that's the case.
It's always the husband.
And look, it probably is, let's be real. Her husband, Brian Walshe, claimed that she had an early flight in the morning. She was meant to be working in DC, right? And as the day went on, her absence raised questions that led to the dark unraveling of some secrets.
Oh, no.
Anyone that knew them would assume that they were quite well off and that he was enviable. He was married to Anna. Anna was driven and charismatic, and the couple resided in a suburb in Boston which was considered to be quite affluent, and they had 3 young children as well.
That's a lot.
Is it?
Is it really? But that's, successful careers. 3 kids.
3 kids.
That's a lot going on.
Yeah, 3 kids, and was very successful in her real estate business in the position that she had. So
yeah, kudos
to her.
Yeah,
I guess.
I
Your
guess.
marriage was a bit you should have maybe thought that through, but as is always the case, that is what was on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that bubbled a little bit deeper than the surface would kind of confirm that there was a splash and a splatter of deceit. I mean, some say splash or splatter, and others would say riddled, but...
Deception.
Decepciones. And it was just Is anything really ever as it seems?
No, we like to think it is. We're like, oh,
In fact, they're meant to be in this affluent neighborhood, right? They got money. They're living their life. They're not keeping up with the Joneses. They are the Joneses. Well, Brian got in trouble, didn't he?
naughty Brian. What'd you do, Brian?
Well, Brian was currently under house arrest
Oh,
for selling fake Andy Warhol paintings, and he was awaiting a sentencing.
of course he was.
Mm.
Like, that's like the rich way of deception.
Yeah, through like antiquities
Yeah.
and art.
Art.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow, okay.
wild. Oh, anyway, so
It's your show, Dull.
so continue.
Yeah, keep going.
You go. So Anna's friends would describe her as the glue to the family, right? She was tirelessly balancing her high-pressure career and her home life. Because let's face it, hashtag all but not all men normally don't do a lot of that kind of stuff. And it's usually the woman who has to work hard and then come home and then like family hard.
Yeah.
It's not usually the man. Something tells me, though, that he would have had a little bit more time on his hands given that he was under home arrest. So hopefully he was doing some of the cooking and the cleaning.
You'd think so.
You'd hope so.
You'd hope so.
Yeah. Yet, those closest to her noticed that there were some cracks forming in the relationship. And no relationship is perfect. We're not ever going to try to pretend that that's the case. But Anna had reportedly confided in one of her best friends about growing tensions between herself and Brian. And she was breadcrumbing. Not in the like toxic relationship kind of way, but she was alluding to the fact that she was starting to, or at least trying to put some distance between herself and Brian. I think the end goal would be to leave him.
I mean, he's under house arrest, so some red flags are
For
popping up.
fraud.
Yeah.
And she obviously was making bank, so she didn't need him. I think it was the other way around.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Anyway, January 1st, 2023, Anna's employer reported that she was missing from her shift that day.
Interesting.
But Brian had told the police that Anna had left their home early that morning for work. It was an emergency. She had to go to DC, like Washington, DC, not Washington State, to do things for work. He didn't go into full detail as to what those things were, but just that she was required to be there in person. Still at this point, I don't even know if her company, because I wasn't really able to find, you can find surface stuff online, but I don't even know if there was a reason that she would have been required to be in Washington, DC for a business thing. I'm not entirely sure. Like if they
Yeah.
maybe have like a head office or a base of operations that function from there, I genuinely don't know. However, there was no record whatsoever of her boarding a flight or making it to the airport that day. And you might be shocked by this, but guess the last place her mobile phone pinged that day before it went dead.
I'm going to say the house.
Yeah. Bingo!
We have a wiener.
You got it. Well, it was near the house. It wasn't in the house.
Yeah.
But it was close enough to the house for them to be like, oh, your house is just here.
Yeah.
So
Why a shay?
that's odd. As is always the case, some kind of suspicious behaviors start to trickle in. Like, for example, in the days following her disappearance, Brian was being a little sus.
You don't say.
Like, while Anna's friends and co-workers were like getting increasingly worried, Brian seemed cool, calm, and collected. So it wasn't until January 4th that he even reported that she was missing, which seems bizarre. Seems a bit weird. You'd assume that someone, I don't know, someone especially that you married, that you love, would have reported it sooner if you'd been missing for 4 days.
And I don't want to put it out there, but I'm going to put it out there. Especially if it's your wife and you've got 3 kids.
Well,
As a husband, as if you're not going to go, oh, I wonder where the missus is, or just give her a couple more days. Like,
right? Especially around a relatively significant day, like New Year's,
Yeah.
Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, which we don't celebrate here, but we know you do in America. Like, those days are significant. You'd probably want to be around your family and loved ones.
Yeah.
No, he just assumed that she was busy with work.
Okay. Oh, haven't heard from her in 5 days. She just must be working. Okay.
So obviously, investigators start looking into it once he's reported. I think they would have been looking into it sooner and maybe sitting there thinking, why has her husband not called us? This seems weird. Maybe he was like, oh, I've left it too long. Maybe I need to do it sooner than later because it's going to seem weird that I haven't actually looked into it. I don't know what he was thinking. He can't have been busy.
What you doing? Sitting around holding your thumbs.
But who knows? So investigators, they began scrutinizing his actions and found a couple of inconsistencies, if I do say so myself.
Scandalo.
He had an unverified alibi. So he claimed that he had spent January 1st running errands for his mother, but surveillance footage and receipts...
I thought he was under house arrest.
You can still be under house arrest, but have access to certain places.
Okay.
I also don't know if that house arrest was at the same time as...
Right.
Or if it were before or slightly after. I'm not sure the actual time frame of that one.
I was just like the stupidity. It's like, I'm under house arrest. Oh, I was running errands for my mum. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, she would have to corroborate that too. But see, the other thing is that the night before, so New Year's Eve, I believe that the two of them had gone out together to celebrate and that she had to leave. One thing he had claimed is that she had to leave and go home because she needed to prepare for DC.
Okay.
So she had allegedly had this conversation with him, but I think someone else corroborated that they were together, but that she had left. And that was the last time that they saw her. He also, as one does, like your friend who, not your friend, but your case where the guy killed someone, then went down to the warehouse and bought a suitcase. He also decided that it was a perfect time, and this was on January 2nd, to buy $450 worth of cleaning products, including mops, buckets, tarps, and bleach. Not only did they obviously find receipts for this, there is video footage of him purchasing these products. So we can't say, oh yeah, I gave my card to someone. Not that he did, but you wouldn't be able to say, I gave my card to somebody and they went and bought this for themselves. I was just being nice and I paid for the product. That's all.
Yeah. Suspect. Oh, so dumb.
The third thing that's a little bit is his internet searches. Because people just tend to forget that these things get looked at.
What were his internet searches?
Well, he wanted to know something very specific. How to dispose of a 115-pound body. Any guesses as to how much Anna would have weighed?
I'm shocked he knows how much she weighs, but 115?
That's very skinny. That's very light, I think. Yeah. Also, how long does it take for a body to decompose?
Oh my god.
You know, just the basics.
I was just curious.
He was curious.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what today's going to be. I'm happy for myself, thank you.
You're so welcome. So, as investigators dug deeper, as they do, 'tis their job, a disturbing trail of evidence. Kind of starting to emerge, you know? Bloody trash bags? Yeah, so police recovered trash bags containing a hacksaw, a bloody rug, and clothing matching Anna's description, and the DNA analysis confirmed that the blood belonged to Anna.
He didn't even try. What the f***?
He didn't. Also, Anna's belongings. So items that were linked to Anna, including her COVID-19 vaccination card and other personal effects, were found in the trash near Brian's mother's house.
Oh, wow. Near your mum's house? What a man, what a man, what a man.
What a mighty good man. What a mighty good man.
So he's actually just a piece of crap. Like, you're now putting it near your mum's house? Far out, man. That's just...
But you're literally not even, like, shedding the spotlight onto your mum.
Yeah.
That's your mum.
Yeah.
And you're the last person saying you've bought these things. How...
Is that how much he loves women? I'm sorry, but it's just, yeah.
Who knows? Now, it's fair to say that as this trial is still ongoing, because it hasn't been completed yet.
Oh.
And a verdict is currently nowhere in sight because obviously they're going to go through appellant stuff and all that good. And even though it seems pretty cut and dry,
Yeah.
that Brian is behind at least the disappearance of his wife, most likely dismemberment and hiding of the parts.
Allegedly.
There still must be the presumption of innocence until at least proven guilty. And as like a little side note to that, and something that may lend a helping hand to this case, is that this case is, or I guess now was, being led by Michael Proctor, who was a police trooper. That name does not ring a bell to anyone, probably because I haven't mentioned it up until now. There are some issues, there's a little bit of tea with Mr. Proctor. Mr. Proctor, the police trooper, has been in trouble before for not remaining neutral when investigating cases and leading with very heavy bias just based on what he thinks. He's not putting fact, he's not actually relying on the outlines that law have put in place to make sure that people stay neutral and that things get followed through regardless of how it might appear. Like, it's like the things that he's looking at might be very circumstantial or superficial, but he's weighing everything on it.
It's just how I feel.
It's how he feels. And he's done that before.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, they've had to consider that he may be doing that again. But the issue that I have is that Brian's team know this. So what Brian's team is doing, because they're aware that Michael has a history of bias when it comes to investigations, is that is exactly what he's done in this case. And because they're smart and the lawyers, that's their angle now. That this is not actually what happened. This is all circumstantial. Your internet search, your mobile phone pings, the location of items in your mum's house. This, to me, like, listen, okay, again, presumption of innocence. We have to assume that it's there until proven otherwise. My brother, you look kind of guilty.
Yeah, the evidence leads.
The biggest, hurdle, I guess, is that Michael Proctor was on this case at all because it's given them something that could put a small element of doubt in the jurors' minds.
Yeah.
And then that is where things kind of get off-railed. And then there is, again, doubt. And you don't want doubt when you're looking at a judicial system, because then there's a chance that some people might vote for or against, or it might end up becoming a hung jury, which is kind of what you don't want unless it's men and they're hot.
Yeah. Hey. It took me a second there.
Did I mention I am still single and I am now employed? So I'm a bit of a bachelor, just saying. So basically, they're taking that old approach of throwing shit at a wall and seeing what would stick.
Yeah.
This one seems to be the most promising lead that they would have.
Oh, it's so frustrating because you literally have the evidence there.
Yeah, it's literally rather. Like literal.
Damn copper.
Damn copper. So, as is the case in general, I look to see if there's any paranormal tie-ins that happen with this particular case. And there isn't exactly any sort of paranormal tie-ins for this case, but I guess the closest that we can get to, which isn't relevant at all, is basic little bits of folklore that are in Cohasset. So if that's all I've got, that's what you're going to get. So there are whispers of mysterious disappearances and secrets among families that aren't uncommon. I don't know if it's kind of like I don't know if you ever grew up anywhere that had like the outskirts of the town you lived in where it may have been a little bit more bush or a little bit like more whatever. And you would hear about families out there maybe being involved in like either spiritual, which everyone else looked at as satanic, but being involved in certain rituals or having different sort of belief systems as you, or being incestual families or that kind of stuff. But it looks like Cohasset, or at least little towns similar to Cohasset, have similar kind of things, not paranormal, but I guess interesting. And there are stories that are passed from neighbor to neighbor that hint at unusual coincidences and shadowy encounters, adding to an airy twist, which is otherwise more of a legal case. So it has nothing to do with anything, but I thought, why not? We've done it before, we'll do it again. So in this section, we're going to talk a little bit analysis and reflection. So we're going to reflect a little bit on Brian Walshe's motive. So his motive seems to stem from a toxic cocktail of financial strain, personal insecurities, and a growing sense of control slipping away. Obviously, Anna was very successful as a real estate executive, and that juxtaposed against like Brian's legal troubles, his house arrest, obviously financial issues because he's committing fraud to get money. I kind of feel like that has played a little bit of a role. Also, looking in like a domestic violence sort of situation, I don't know why I internalized that, is there can be big issues when someone who is the perpetrator feels control slipping away. And then if the idea is that someone is no longer longer tethered to you because of your intimidations, then your control, which is already toxic, can turn harmful or deadly. And in this case, even though it's, again, presumption of innocence, I feel like that may have been what's happened, because if she was telling her friends or her closest friends that she was looking at pulling away at that point, surely he would have known.
Yeah.
There would have been some things there that would have given him an idea that she was distancing herself, with the potential outcome being that she would end up leaving him.
Especially if he's home now, that shit's going to stand out.
Oh yeah, because he doesn't really have anything else to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how much surveillance he would have been under. He would have probably had an ankle monitor, which most of them have. Fun fact, I walked past a man the other day that had one on his ankle just up around the corner. He did say hello, which is great.
Hello?
Yeah. What did you do?
What happened there?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to be like, you must have some interesting stories to tell, friend. Tell me.
Yeah.
But then it's also like, what if it was a violent offense and I'm literally, tell me.
Yeah.
Or what if it was a sexual offense and I've just made him think that I'm down? He was not attractive. Even if he was, sexual offenses are nothing to be attracted to. Just saying.
No.
So it's possible that Brian felt overshadowed by Anna's independence and her achievements. His fraudulent dealings painted a picture of a man desperate to project an image of success, which again, we kind of covered very, very briefly earlier about wanting to look like they didn't just keep up with the Joneses, but that they were the Joneses.
Yeah.
And it was unrealistic for them, considering she was the one that had the money, even as his life crumbled around him. So obviously people are always under house arrest. Like those closest to him probably would have known. I don't know if he went into detail as to why, but they probably would have known. So the question really is, was Anna's decision like actually the final trigger? Like her pulling herself away, was that really what set him off? I mean, again, if she's the breadwinner, she's bringing the money in, and now he's going to have to do it on his own without having that. I don't feel bad for him at all. But I'm just saying, like, maybe, like, is that what did it? I don't know. Either way, it is a chilling reminder of how unchecked emotions and unresolved conflicts can escalate into unimaginable actions. So this case also sheds lights on the darker side of domestic relationships, how control, jealousy, and financial dependency can lead to devastating consequences. And Anna's disappearance serves as a stark warning to the importance of recognizing and addressing the warning signs of domestic instability before they spiral out of control. And I kind of feel like my last two cases back to back have been kind of around that, but it is also such an important topic. And even now, because of those new legislations that are put in place, the fact that there's more domestic violence training for people who handle emergency hotlines that come in, it's just such an important thing to talk about. So just remember, if you're out there and you're in that sort of situation, there are places that you can go, there are people to talk to, there are always resources. So reach out however you are able to.
And it will get better.
It will get better. So technology also played a role in solving the case. It's not really solved yet, but in more of shedding that light, technology has played a massive role. So modern technology, its role was pivotal to uncovering the truth behind Anna's disappearance while her body still has not actually been found. Investigators were able to meticulously piece together Brian Walshe's digital footprint, which I think is, that whole stuff is so fascinating how they can do that. And it obviously revealed damning evidence. So the surveillance footage that captured Brian purchasing cleaning supplies, including mops, buckets, and bleach, the day after she went missing, that video contradicted his initial claims about his whereabouts, which we mentioned before. The forensic analysis of his internet searches, which uncovered how to dispose of a body of a certain weight and how long it takes for the body to decompose, those searches provided an insight to his mindset that pointed out premeditation. But I don't know what date, and that's something that I wanted to know too, like what date did you look that information up versus when she went missing?
Yeah.
Did you look it up afterwards? Because then you're like, oh crap, I have allegedly killed her, now I need to dispose of her body. How do I do that?
Yeah.
So there are some things around timeline that I wish I had more information about. Also, the GPS data and phone records that traced Brian's movements leading investigators to those key locations where evidence was found, like the bloody trash bag. There were pings, I believe, of his mobile phone in those areas that they found that stuff. So to me, it sounds very much like the actions of someone who did it. Unless, just for shits and gigs, imagine if his mother hated him, went and did this and made it look like it was him because there are things found near her home anyway, and she was just trying to take him out. Like, that is obviously just my brain.
Yeah.
That's not something that happened. It's all alleged. Not even alleged. It's just like a what if.
Yeah, right.
You know? So the case serves again as like a stark reminder of the digital age's double-edged sword, because you have things that you can do now that you couldn't do before, but how monitored you are and how easy it is to find that sort of information is like unparalleled. You know?
Always watching.
I'm watching
Wazowski. I like that my voice
Always watching.
Straight where I went to, yeah.
While it can facilitate heinous acts, it also empowers law enforcement with the tools needed to bring predators to justice. Here's a question for you, single listener.
Just the one.
Just the one. Could Anna's friends or family have acted sooner to prevent this tragedy from happening? It's just food for thought. I think that would involve Anna divulging more information as to the actual state of her relationship with her husband. I don't know if there was coercive control that was being used. I mean, he ended up murdering her, so I'm going to assume there would have been. He didn't end up murdering her. We don't know. She ended up disappearing, and all arrows are pointing toward him, even though we don't know that for certain. But you can assume that coercive control would have been in there somewhere. And if coercive control's in there, you would assume there would be other abuse tactics being used in that relationship as well. So who really knows? Also, dear listener, have you ever encountered someone whose true nature surprised you? Like, you know how you start to, maybe you befriend someone or you date somebody and everything's great for the first 3 or 6 months, and then all of a sudden there's a switch and you get to see who they are authentically. Have you been in that kind of situation? And if so, please share that with us. You can keep names anonymous. We won't even mention your name, but let us know what your experience with that is, if you've had one. I hope you haven't, unless it was something that benefited you in a positive way where you're able to maybe distance yourself from that kind of behavior. But share your stories with us on social media. Send us a message, anything. We would absolutely love to hear from you. So to summarize, we've explored the chilling case of Brian Walshe, from the initial disappearance of Anna to Brian's attempts to cover his tracks and the legal battles that followed. It is a stark reminder that appearances can be deceiving and that the truth often lies beneath the surface. Next time on Wine Time Mysteries. A quiet man, a tragic encounter, and the relentless search for justice. Tatsuya Ishiyashi's case captivated a nation and uncovered a harrowing story that shook the foundations of trust and safety. Next time, Ashley will explore a case where community secrets run deeper and betrayal turns a small town into a hotspot of mystery and intrigue. So, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, sometimes the shadows hide more than just secrets. Until next time, stay vigilant. All right, I gotta go.
Why?
I'm gonna get my toupee resized. My head's doubled in size.
What?
Oh yeah, because we want to be a happy little dildo on a rainbow, but that's just
Yeah.
not the case for things.
You can't say stuff like that because now I'm picturing a dildo flying through a rainbow. On a rainbow.
Well, thank goodness only one of us has aphantasia. Which is great, because then I don't
And it's
have
not
to...
me.
Yeah, which they probably would have got because you said you're picturing it.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
It's quite nice.
In case you didn't know. Now
Yeah.
you know.
There's not a lot that goes on in my head. I'm always on standby.
So you don't even picture the little mouse on the wheel.
I can't picture anything.
How many
Ashley.
times do I have to say?
I have nothing going on in there image-wise.
Darkness.
The white dude, skinny,
Yeah. Forget his
the
name.
really
Remember
bad
his
acting.
face. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, but that's okay. But that's okay. That's okay.
It's all right. A little mouse face. You don't need to remember it.
So to summarize. Summarize!